Let me share my screen and then get underway. Are you able to see it?
Yes.
Awesome. It was a bit of a rocket science to fix it, but we managed to do it somehow. Okay, so Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. Let's get started with our opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. All right, so Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening to all of you. Yes, 6, we shall get started with our topic. So, like we always do, we'll start with our Soul Soup segment, where we are doing a series on success, happiness, and fulfillment series. So, as part of that, yesterday we spoke about the price for success. Now, what is the price for success? This is something which is very important. Anything and everything that we do in our life comes at a price tag. We may think it is free, like human beings are the only species which have been endowed with free will. Animals don't have a free will. And we are part of that 8.4 million cycle. Our scriptures tell that. And it's with great fortune we get that human birth and we get a free will. Now, the name is free, but ironically, it is very expensive. Why? Because if you don't exert it properly, then there are consequences. We may think that there are no consequences whatsoever, but there are consequences not only to the things that we do or the choices that we make, but every thought that we harbor in our head as well. Like Churchill had said that the responsibility of greatness lies on our every single thought that we harbor in our head. So thought by thought, we forge our destiny. So thought also constitutes as a karma, as per the Bhagavad Gita. And there's a price tag for everything. Price tag in the sense, now you may think a thought is innocuous. No, when you energize a thought, it's leaving an impression, indelible impression in your mind, which over time become your sanskars. And then you'll have to fight, especially if there are sanskars which are not helpful for you. Right? If people, when they become addicts, they don't realize it. They think it's pretty cool and they're having fun in their life. But those sanskars, they will have to climb over. It's like digging a pit for yourself that you have to climb over down the line. So the price for success is basically if you look at it, the key thing is there are no free lunches in the world. Everything has a price tag to it. The question is, are you willing to pay the price for it? And the biggest tragedy of human life is we don't even know what price we are paying for the actions or the choices that we are making. And that is where spiritual knowledge is the manual. Bhagavad Gita is a manual for a product called human life, where we understand not only how to shape our thoughts, but also choosing wisely, choices that we make in our day-to-day life. So today we are going to talk about, you see somebody on your right hand side, we have been talking about the practice aspect of it and the fact that we lay a lot of emphasis on things that are gifted. Somebody is born with a talent and stuff like that. But yesterday I told you that in Florida State University, we usually underestimate the value or the importance of hard work or the deliberate practice anybody can do to gain mastery in any skill that they want. So Florida State University, K. Ander Erickson had written a book. He had published an insightful paper in 1993, which said that the role of deliberate practice in the acquisition of expert performance. And if you practice for 3 hours a day for 10 years, you can achieve notable measure of success in any walk of field that you put your head, mind, and heart and soul to. Okay. Now, the reason I picked up Edwin Moses is because it's a beautiful anecdote, related to Edwin Moses. By the way, who's Edwin Moses? He was a former American athlete. He holds the all-time record for maximum consecutive victories in a track event. In the 400-meter hurdles, I think between 77 to 87, he won 122 consecutive races, including 107 finals and 15 heats. Okay. He set the world record for the events 4 times and won the gold medal in 76 and 84 Olympics as well. He could not compete in 80 because of US boycott of Moscow Olympics, but he was a very, very successful athlete. Now, when he was asked, what is the secret of his success? You know what he said? He said, I have a greater ability to tolerate pain than others. That's all. He has a greater ability to tolerate pain than others, and that makes the whole difference. Right? So, willingness to tolerate discomfort is thus the universal prerequisite for success. We think, you know, misery should go away, uncomfortable, situation is not good, we need to get out of it stuff. But the fact of the matter is, only when you have a better willingness to tolerate discomfort would you be able to take yourself to the next step, right? What is the difference between coal and the diamond? Both are carbon, chemically, carbon compounds, but the diamond is a piece of coal, which has been able to withstand pressure for an extended period of time. So that what's convert a ordinary coal into a diamond. We've also heard this story, right, from Swamiji about that cocoon, how it bobs out of larva and then, it struggles its way through and then it grows wings. But if you cut open the cocoon thinking it is a very miserable, situation that particular larva is in, then it will never be able to grow wings. So this universe is designed in a way so that it's working like a sandpaper, chiseling you every moment. And if you are willing to tolerate that and see it in perspective, it can beautify us and take our spiritual journey as well as our material journey as well as our thought process to the next level. But if we are running away from pain and misery and always learning to be comfortable in our bubble and all that stuff, then let's say the growth happens at the end of the comfort zone. So this is a key nugget. Every hurdle, every adversity is an opportunity to take ourselves to the next level, as opposed to saying, oh my God, I need to avoid it and need to run away from it. Right? And even if you do an activity like we have spoken about multiple times in our session, if you reflect on your life, pick up incidents, 3 or 4 incidents, really terrible incidents, which you think at that point you thought they were the worst things that has happened to you in your life. When you'll connect the dots, you will see those were the best things that happened to your life because that have chiseled the personality that you have today. If not for those moments, you would not have gained depth that you have gained today, and you will be thankful for those opportunities. Steve Jobs had said the same thing in his Stanford famous speech, that the best thing that happened to him was him getting fired from his own company. But he could connect the dots. Not everybody has that vision to look at the hindsight and see that. But if you do that exercise retrospectively, you will understand that these opportunities really are stepping stone to take ourselves to the next level, spiritually, materially, and pretty much in all ways. So hopefully this nugget is helpful in this series, like we always cover. Now let's move on to our topic of Bhagavad Gita discussion. We are on Shloka 5, verse 2. I'm going to recite it like always, and then we'll take a few volunteers and get this going. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Sanyasa Karma Yogascha Nishreya Sakaravubho Tayostu Karma Sanyasyat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. Let's take a few hands.
Shri Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Sanyasa Karma Yatyascha Nishreyasa Karavubhau Tayostu Karma Sanyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Very nice, Radhe Radhe, thank you.
Okay, but Sam ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Sanyasa Karma Yogascha Nishrekarbha Bhuvo Tayostu Karma Sanyasa Karma Yogo Vashishyate. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe, thank you. Quite a few hands today. Okay, let's keep taking them real quick.
Udayji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sanyasah Karma Yogascha Nishreyasya Karavobho Tayostu Karma Sanyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Udayji, very nice. Thank you.
Aparna ji, Radhe Radhe.
Naji. Let's freeze the hands and cover the one.
Radhe Radhe everyone.
Radhe Radhe.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sanyasah Karma Yogascha Nishreyasa Karavubhau Tayostu Karma Sanyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. Thank
Very
you.
nice. Thank you. Let's move on.
Pratusha ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe
Radhe
Radhe.
Radhe. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Sanyasah Karma Yogasya Nishreyasakaravubhau Tayostu Karma Sanyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate.
Thank you, Pratisha. Okay, last few hands. Let's quickly take those.
Yes, Riya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Last three hands. Radhe Radhe, Riya ji.
Radhe Radhe. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Sannyasa Karma Yogascha Nishreyasakaravubhau Tayostu Karma Sannyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate.
Thank you, Riya ji. Last two hands.
Manisha ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Sanyasa Karma Yogasya Nishreyas Karabhubho Tayostu Karma Sanyasat Karma Yogyo Vishishyate.
Nice, thank you. Last but not the least, Pragi ji, please.
Radhe Radhe, Pragi ji.
Yeah, thank you, Radhe Radhe. Shri Bhagavan Sanyasa Karma Yogascha Niya Shreyaskaravo Teostu Karma Sanyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate.
Very nice, thank you. So let's get started. I would encourage everybody to take this opportunity to recite these shlokas as best as you can. It's very, very transformative and very, very powerful when you do this, because these are not ordinary words. Always remember, these have come from the mouth of Lord Krishna, and these could be transformative in itself. Chandan, you want to do that real quick, and then we get started. Last hand for the day.
Radhe Radhe, Chandan ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Sanyasah Karma Yogascha Nishreyasakaravubhau Tayostu Karma Sanyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate.
Thank you, Chandan. So let's get started. In this, Lord Krishna is saying both the path of Karm Sanyas, renunciation of actions, and Karm Yog, working in devotion, lead to the supreme goal. Karm Yoga is superior to Karm Sanyas, and that's what we are tilling the ground for that. Okay, we'll still tilling the ground, and we'll get into more and more details in every. Yesterday we spoke about, these are the panch klesh we are afflicted with, starting with avidya, ignorance, where we consider ourselves as a body, and all the bodily acquisitions and bodily relatives as ours as a permanent thing. Doesn't happen. Those roles keep on changing, and the soul continues to move on in its journey. Then it brings in the second, the ignorance is the root cause, ajnanam evasya mool karanam, like our scriptures say that, and that leads to the remaining defects. What are the other defects? The ego aspect of it, I amness, where we associate ourselves with identities which is not real us. And then, of course, the rag, attachment, dvesh comes in, and then abhinivesh, that fact that we think our existence is going to cease, and people are very scared of death, right? Death is peaceful. We have died multiple times. We've forgotten it, but it's not an end of our existence. We keep on getting recycled. The key thing is to keep on working on our mind, because you'll continue to inherit that mind. Our scriptures tell us that gross body is shed, but the subtle body in form of our mind and senses, that continues to travel with us. And whenever we come back as humans, the same tendencies you will repeat with. And that is an added incentive for us to do more homework now and not leave it for later, or create more homework in our life, right? So the same mind will be repeated, but our existence will not continue. It's like energy is neither created nor destroyed. Similarly, as an eternal fragmental part of God's, we are not going anywhere. We'll keep on getting recycled. The best we can do is do more non-binding karma and cleanse our antakaran in the process of human life, as opposed to doing more binding karmas, adding more backlog of karma, and then digging pits for ourselves, which we only have to climb over sooner or later. Right? So that's the whole idea of spirituality. And then we continued discussion on, the three kinds of work: one involving mind, one senses, and one both mind and senses. The reason we brought it up was because in spirituality, what you're doing in your mind is what is counted. From a logging standpoint, it's like Dwa Suparna Sayujya Sakha. Our scriptures tell us there are two words who are seated within us. One is our soul aspect, and one is the super soul, the Paramatma aspect of it, with whose job is simply to log your karmas and give you the results. Right? So God has three manifestations. One is a super soul, one is an all-pervading, is permeated every atom of this universe, and third is the Bhagavan when he takes on an avatar. All three are the same form of God, and God is not limited like we are, right? He can coexist in all the three forms at all the times. So what is happening in our mind is what gets counted, not the physical action that you are doing. So all the spiritual practices or ritualistic practices that we do, as long as it is accompanied with remembrance of God or building that connect, then it is one before the zero. If you are simply doing it as a mechanical exercise, as a ritual, and giving yourself a credit, my quota for the religious activities done for the month, have paid a visit to the temple, or I've done the Ganesh puja, or I went there and did that, it doesn't count for anything. It's a multiplication with zero. The one before all the zeros is the remembrance aspect of it. So mind is the key thing. That is what we have been focusing on. So now let's move on. So we said we need to purify our mind and senses. Body, you can take bath. That doesn't purify you. It's the mind aspect of it that needs to be cleansed. And that is why even if you go to Ganga, people say go to Tirath, go Ganga Snan, Yamuna Snan. Unless you have bathed your mind in it, it doesn't count for anything. Right? It's like a polluted water bottle. You cork it tightly, put it in Ganges for 10 years. Will it become clean? It will not. Why? Because you have not really washed your mind as yet. If you've just simply washed your body, taken a bath and thought that, okay, my job, now I have washed myself, all that doesn't work that way. Okay. And that is where the proper spiritual knowledge and understanding helps in that case, right? Now, it's the most difficult cleaning. We basically discussed it till this point yesterday, right? Because only when our mind is clean, then we will come in touch with our reality that we are much deeper than who we thought we were all along, right? That the realization, not the theoretical, but the practical realization that we are soul, divine soul, would manifest itself. Okay. That is why you need to still your mind. Some people say, I enjoy dancing. Why do we enjoy dancing? We enjoy dancing because the mind becomes a little closer to still, right? The noise, the chatter stops, and then you feel good about it. So anything that stops that chatter for you will make you feel that bliss anyways, because now you're getting closer to your real self. They say that when we are sleeping, that is also a meditation, but that is unconscious meditation, right? It is unconscious meditation. And when you are meditating, it is conscious sleep. So both ways, you are stilling your mind. And when you still your mind, it is called the state of sushupti. When you wake up sometimes, when you have a dreamy state, your mind is still operational. Although your body is resting, but your mind is still working. And you don't have that deep sleep. But when you have deep sleep, your mind is also rested. You really know the next morning, I had the best sleep of my life. I'm really rested. Why? because your mind also rested. And when you can rest your mind in a conscious state, that is essentially what meditation is. Now, the purification of mind and senses is the agenda of human life. Okay, if you ask anybody from a spiritual standpoint, that is the only agenda of human life. That is why God gives us this human life, that go ahead and get a little closer to that or complete your journey. Rest all that we create are the self-created agenda, right? Family, friends, all that stuff is good. I mean, it's a part of our duty that we have to do, but we get so hung up in that. Like kids, we used to play ghar ghar, the toy game. This toy game continues for a little too far, and we keep on playing that toy game for the rest of our life, and keep on getting attached to things and build some more sanskars around it, and the rules change, right? Different people will become our wife, husband, spouse, kids, parents, all that stuff. That drama continues to unfold lifetime after lifetime. Now let's look at it a little systematically. I'll tell you this story. Now, here's a king. Okay, this king was pretty powerful, and it said he's immortal. You can't kill him, right? And he was invincible as well, until a wise man came and he said, I know a secret of this guy. What is that secret? Secret is that this king's life resides in this parrot. Okay, so if you kill this parrot, the king is gone. Now, what is this parrot and who's this king? Let's understand that. This parrot is secret stash of the king. Okay, there is always a secret stash all of us have in our life, and we keep on finding that secret stash. Sometimes it is more than one, but there is a dominant one for everyone in every life. We keep on finding that, and that becomes a reason for us to be reborn, born again. Like God, like an indulgent father says, okay, you're not convinced that the real happiness does not lie in this material world. You always kept on thinking only if this would have happened or this desire would have been fulfilled, I would have been happy. So he said, all right, be my guest, try again. So that secret stash, we all have to introspect and figure out what our secret stash is. There's a way to know that. How do we know that? We all have. What's your secret stash? Easier way to know that is check out your credit card bills. Wherever the most of the money is going, that is where your secret stash is. Okay, so if it is going in family trips, that's where your secret stash is. If it's going on buying new golf carts, that is where secret stash is. So you're typically where your money goes, that is what your secret stash is. So let me tell you a story. So there was an old couple, grandpa and grandma. Their secret stash was to take a private flight, okay, once in their lifetime. So with their lifetime savings, not lifetime savings, but when they finally got a time, they went and said, okay, we are going to take a flight, charter plane, and two of us will sit there and enjoy that ride. So that was their secret stash. So they went and they started negotiating with the pilot. Of course, money was another secret stash for them. So pilot said, I'm going to charge you $1,000 for this flight. They said 1,000 is too heavy for us, our wallet. Can you please do it for 300 or $500? He said, no, 1,000. He said, no, please, 300. He said, all right, on one condition, you both will stay quiet. Okay, I'm going to take you around, but you will stay quiet. He said, fine, we will. He said, all right, get down. So they both boarded that charter plane, and the pilot, being the pilot, he started maneuvering it left, right, center, up, down, so that, a murmur would come down and then he can charge them back $1,000. But none of them spoke. Okay. He continued going left, right, this, that. And anyway, they completed it. Finally, he landed. When he landed, he was very surprised because he tried his best to make them make a noise, freak them out during the flight. So he asked, without turning back, he said, how did you manage not to utter even a single word? So grandpa replied, he said, it was really difficult. When grandma was falling, I almost muttered something, but then I held back. Now that was his secret stash, right? More than grandma, he cared about his money. And God knows what grandma would have cared about if grandpa was falling, and it also reverse. So we all have it in some form or manner. And that secret stash is something that on the path of spirituality, especially when you come across a spiritual master, he'll start confronting. Okay. So we got to be careful about our secret stash and then systematically dismantle it. Now, detachment aspect, when we talk about spirituality, does not mean leave aside everything. Okay, that is the most misunderstood thing about reading Bhagavad Gita, or for that matter, becoming spiritual. Leave aside everything. No, what it means is it's like this boat. You live in the water and don't let the water live in you. Right? So live in the world and don't let the world live in you. That is true detachment. Not that you turn your back towards people and say, okay, enough of you, now I'm going to become a Baba or a sannyasi. You continue to operate in the world effectively, but don't let the world reside in you. That is the key thing. Okay, so let's move on. Now get into the discussion. How do we purify our mind and senses? It is needed for us to reach the stage of that boat that we spoke about, and to confront our secret stash. We really need to purify it. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. It's a most cleaning, difficult job. We spoke about it. Now, which option would you prefer, easy or difficult? Let's get started from that before we get into Karm Yog and Karm Sanyas part of it. But let's start building a tempo for that. Yes, I saw Jyoti raise her hand as well. Jyoti, what happened? You changed your mind? Go ahead, Sandhya.
Jyoti, she was, yeah, Radhe Radhe Jyoti.
Yes,
Uh,
Jyoti.
You can't.
Can you hear me?
Of course.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I know we have talked about it many a times that live in the world, but don't let the world live in you. It's easy to say, but in my understanding and in my experience, it's really difficult to do. So do you have any tools
Yeah.
to
I have a pill. You come meet me, you pop it in, and next day it'll just start happening. Okay. So see, you've forgotten when you were a baby, it was very difficult for you to even know how to turn your side. Okay, until doctor suggested, or maybe you figured it out on your own, that by doing tummy time or otherwise, you can turn your side as well. Okay. And then when you started to walk, it was very difficult for you. First you had to crawl and stuff like that. So a lot of things in our life are difficult, but that does not give us a reason to simply dismiss it and say, oh, it is very difficult, easier said than done. Somewhere we have to start. Right? It says the journey, it's a Chinese saying, I believe, or Taoist saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a small step. Somewhere we have to start. Right? And the when we start trying, it starts getting easier. Like any other thing. When you look at somebody who's typing, right? When they started, even if you ask me honestly, I don't know how I ended up in IT. Okay, I'm still a disaster. You won't believe, when I started with my first company, Infosys, um, I used to struggle to find alphabets on the keyboard, and sometimes I would give up that this alphabet does not even exist on this keyboard. And even to control the mouse, I used to struggle. So if you look at typists, right, people who type so quickly like this, and they're talking, walking, and everything, and they can type, it seems like a siddhi, as if they have some kind of a divine siddhi. But do you think they were like that always? No, they were struggling. Like I used to struggle typing alphabets on, but over period of time now you can talk, and your hands will just hit on the right alphabets. You can write emails even without looking at it. I can do that now for most parts. So like any other thing, you have to try. And when you try, it starts becoming easier. Right? So there is no magic pill as such for it. Of course, it, like Krishna has said, Abhyasena tu kante vairagyena cha griyate. With practice and detachment, you can master and ace anything. Right? The deliberate practice is important. That's one of the nuggets we're talking about. Everything, there are no free lunches in life. We want some kind of a quick shortcut like this. Doesn't work like that. Everything requires hard work. But the beauty on this path is, the harder you try, the luckier you get. Why? Because you're not on your own here. Now the divine grace starts intervening, because now you're fulfilling the purpose of this creation. When you start aligning to it, now you're serving the purpose of God. He always wants to make you perfect, right? Like a father would like to give his inheritance to a kid or a boy or a girl, whoever it is, when they become eligible. And when you've started making attempts to become eligible, of course, he is going to help you out on the way. So we have to put in our work. Okay. Rest, we leave it to God. Yes, Sanjay, you wanted to ask something? Easier option or harder option? Tell me that. It's a very interesting discussion, because this will lead to Karm Yog, Karm Sanyas. Finally, I'm going to put it all together. But yeah, did you have a question?
This discussion.
Mhm.
So, which option would you prefer? So, like if the end result is going to be same, then I will go for the easier option.
Mhm.
But Otherwise, decision will be based upon what is going to be the end result.
Okay, you're very smart that way. You're focused on the result and then you will choose the path. Okay, good answer. Yes,
I
Abhaji.
mean goal rather than result. Okay. Yeah. Abhaji, Radhe Radhe.
Yes, Abhaji.
Radhe Radhe.
Yeah.
I have stopped picking easy or difficult. It's just whatever comes your way, that's it. It's not an option anymore in life to say, because even if you think it's easy, it's really not easy per se. You might think it is, but it's not. So I don't even look at it as easy or difficult anymore. It is what it is. You deal with it and move on.
Whatever comes your way. Yeah, that's a good attitude as well. Anyway, there's a saying in English that it is easy to be difficult, but difficult to be easy, right? So we'll see whether it's really easy or not. Hold on to that, Rahul and Pratyusha. I'll get back to you because I wanted to take this discussion. We have a limited time today, but we'll get back to you, both of you. Now, let's talk about easy and difficult part of it. Generally, this is how our human mind works. Things that are easy, we think are not worth it. Things which are difficult, we think it is worthy of it. Now, if somebody tells you, pranayam, you have to do like this, just sit. You'll say, so simple, you'll say, no. And then if somebody tells you, no, what? Instead of putting your hand like this, you take your hand around your back and then bring it around your head and then make sure it doesn't touch your ear. And then you do it, you'll say, yeah, now this makes sense, right? If somebody tells you, all you have to do when it comes to devotion is do Radhe Govind, Govind Radhe, Sita Ram, Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om, do with remembrance, faith, and build some bhavs around it, and that is all is needed. So come on, what are you saying? If somebody tells you that, what, you need to first grow your beard and hair, then put ashes on your face, and then go to a big tirth, but don't walk, okay? Crawl your way. And then when you reach there, don't eat anything. You subsist on leaves. Those leaves which fall by themselves, don't even pluck those leaves. And when you sleep, first of all, you should not sleep, okay? Stand on one leg. But if you sleep, put some thorns and then you sleep. And then you say, if you do it for 1,000 days, then God will manifest in front of you. You'll say, no, this makes sense. So anything that is harder, if somebody tells you, you know what, pay 15,000 grand and you will get the best leadership course, offered by your company, sponsored by Harvard, you'll say, yes, I will go for that. Somebody tells you there's a free Zoom session happening. Bhagavad Gita teaches all the leadership concepts that corporate would not even touch. They'll barely touch the surface. You'll, come on, free session, what are you talking about? So our mind is predisposed to thinking something which is difficult must be worth it. Something which is easy, yeah, it doesn't make sense. This is a bias our mind has. That's why people charge something for it, so that people think, okay, it must be worth it, right? Now, in path of spiritual, of course, if God were to make it so difficult or, these kind of conditions, then he must be a crazily creative guy, right? And or must be a crazy God kind of a deal, right? Who's made it so difficult for us. However, God knew. That is why our Vedas are like a general store. You go to Walmart or Costco, you get a tons of stuff that you want to buy. He's given you everything because he knew that there will be people who will get attracted towards those kind of things only. They will not pick up the easy way because it takes a lot of faith. To build that faith, there's a tons of knowledge that has to be fed into a human intellect, contemplation. Then that faith will come that, okay, it's very simple process actually. But he knew that it's not so easy for us. And that is why most of the people, they have chosen the most difficult path. And we'll talk about that difficult path now, and we'll get back to you, Rahul and Pratyusha. Let's talk about the difficult path now, okay? You have chosen the difficult path, believe it or not. Okay, what are those difficult paths? First of all, devotion, that faith aspect. It's not so easy to cultivate that. We've been talking about that. Jane binu na hoy paratiti, binu paratiti na hoy priti. That means knowledge leads to faith, faith leads to love. But acquiring that knowledge, we don't even get to that step. We're not able to make priority. We keep on postponing it. Mind keeps on playing tricks. So then by default, we are stuck in a difficult path. What is this difficult path? Because we don't have devotion as yet. We have to play this game through sacrifices and austerities that are expected of us. So because you are in this human form, there are certain obligatory stuff on you because you have chosen the difficult direction. difficult path, so to say. Let's take hands of Pratyusha and Rahul, and then we'll continue on this because this is going to be interesting. These rinas, nobody's absolved from, and we'll talk about that. Yes, Pratyusha, go ahead.
Pratyusha ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I would say that, like, as a beginner, I would try to say take the easy ones, and as a if at an advanced level, if I really want to work on something, that I would like to take the difficult ones.
Difficult one. You already basically by de facto taken up the difficult route, right? The easier path takes a lot of intellectual conviction and knowledge to get to that level, right? Finally, we don't have to do anything. If you look at the state of surrender, you don't have to do anything. It's like a mother, child doesn't have to do anything. The mother takes care of them. But for us to get to the stage of doing nothing, we have to do a lot of things, to get to that stage. So I'll explain you why we are already on the difficult path and how we can simplify it, of course. Yes, Rahul? Good call out, Pratyusha. Yes, Rahul, go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Rahul ji.
Yeah, I also wanted to say that preference would be easy path, but there is something in my mind that if we are given both the paths, then probably we can choose the path which takes us faster towards that goal instead of choosing the easier and difficult one. So,
yeah. But no, that is true. Now you will say faster, but then of course you have to believe as well, right? Then you will say, oh my God, it's so easy. Can I really do that kind of a deal, right? So I told you, right, that story that there was a guy who was hung up, who fell down a cliff and he was barely hanging onto the cliff. And then he remembered, you know what, Sitaram are my Ishtadev, and I always used to go and put prasad and prasad chadhawa and everything in front of them, and also Hanumanji, I used to worship him. So this is the time to call out for help from them. So then he says, Ram Bhagwanji, are you there? Lord Ram, are you there? I really need you. I'm in the dire strait right now, and this is the time I need your help. And from below, Lord Ram replies, all right, my child, let go of it, and I'm waiting for you. Okay, I can help you. I'm here to help you because you called me out. And then he listens and he says, anybody other than Lord Ram who can help me? He's not willing to believe, basically, right? So that is how our faith goes in this part. So because we don't have faith yet, and we are not truly inculcating the devotion aspect of it, we are implicated, or we are obligated to perform these. We are under these debts. What are these debts? Let's talk about it. They are called rents. Okay. The difficult path that we are on already. Okay. Yes, Aarti ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Aarti ji.
Radhe Radhe Aarti ji.
हरिओम राधे राधे संध्या जी राधे राधे नितिन जी
Radhe Radhe.
नितिन जी मेरा क्वेश्चन है कि फेथ एग्जैक्टली है क्या, क्योंकि देखिए बचपन से ऐसा तो हमें माइंड में डाला है भगवान है, हम मानते भी हैं थोड़ा बहुत कि कुछ तो ऊपर पावरफुल है, ठीक है, क्योंकि नेकेड आइट से तो देखा नहीं है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं, कभी कभी ग्रेटनेस एक्सपीरियंस भी होता है कि सडनली कुछ अच्छा हो गया, और वो तो सब आप बोल सकते हैं ग्रॉस लेवल पे है, मटेरियल लेवल पे है, लेकिन एग्जैक्टली ये फेथ है क्या जो बिल्कुल जैसे बोलते हैं ना आप अटूट हो, और जिसके लिए मैं मतलब कोई ग्रॉस लेवल मुझे उसे हिला नहीं सके, और
निष्ठा.
इतना हो जैसे मन का, जैसे आप कहते हैं वो कैसा हो, और आखिर है क्या फेथ जो मतलब मुसीबत में जैसे होता नहीं है लेकिन सुख हो या अच्छा हो तो होता है।
हाँ, तो faith जो है that keeps on changing. Faith हमारा the okay, for the benefit of people who are English, don't have native Hindi, let me explain that. Faith is something where you don't need an empirical evidence. It has just become a conviction in you that this is it. So if you truly ask me, none of us have faith in God as yet. Why? Because the day we truly believe in God, we would realize Him. As scriptures say, when you truly believe in God, you would complete your God realization that day. So it is a journey, Artiji. It is a journey in the sense that if you look at it, maybe you missed some of the sessions. There are different milestones in this journey as well. So that faith, it becomes agad faith, nishtha, ruchi. All those milestones are there where it keeps on increasing. And finally, you are intellectually convinced that this is it. But it is a journey. You have to hit those milestones by continuing to invest in it. So it will happen over time. It's not going to happen because you are in a conditioned state right now. Even to take a what do you call that, a drug addict out of drug, it takes so much time. Now you are in a conditioned state. You are going to willing to believe in things that you see, right? Through your eyes, or you can perceive consistently. So it will take a bit of a time. Our scriptures are telling us, don't rely on your visual evidence alone, right? That is the pratyaksh praman. There are processes that you can follow. So it's just like this. If you have to get um, clarified butter out of milk, you can't see that clarified butter in the milk. You have to first get the cream, separate it out, then you have to churn the yogurt, then you need to get the butter, then you need to heat it. Similarly, there are processes you follow on the path of devotion to strengthen your faith. And faith is something, to put it simply, where you don't require any further evidence, where you are completely convinced this is what it is. You see what I'm saying? And it is a journey in that sense. Right? Like Draupadi had it at that moment that, okay, Govind, Dwarka Vasin Govind, I just rely on you. And he had to manifest, right? Bhagavad Gita says, Bhagavatam says, Ye yathamam prapadyante tans tatheva bhajamyam. He has to reciprocate. But the gap or the inadequacy is on the level of our faith. We don't truly believe it. Really, maybe, maybe not, maybe, what if not? At least I see people, I can bank on them, but I haven't seen something, maybe hocus pocus, who has seen life after death. These questions are still there. We have not really convinced our intellect as yet through sufficient contemplation and through devotional practices. That is why our faith is not 100% as yet. But good
But we
question.
can develop it, right? मतलब धीरे धीरे होता ही जाएगा, करेक्ट? एकदम 100% होना अभी जरूरी नहीं है,
It's a
right?
journey. It's not a unit step function. Very true. But you have to keep on holding on to the spark. It's like this. When you strike to wood, you have to reach an ignition temperature, right? If you strike for a little bit and then leave it aside and then strike again, leave it aside, it will never reach that ignition temperature. So you have to consistently do that and then see the magic unfold. And the path of devotion is so powerful that the proof is in the pudding. It's like you don't have to explain how much salt is there in the food or how tasty something is. You just know it through your experience. Can you articulate it? You cannot. So you just know it through experience. Same thing will happen. Your faith will keep on strengthening. Your experiences will reinforce it. Your own realization will strengthen it. But you have to continue focusing on the fundamentals around it, which we keep on talking about anyway throughout our classes. But good question, Aarti ji. We'll continue on this discussion. Please fill in the feedback tracker. Let's post it if you have any more questions. Now, let me talk about the rinas that we have. Like as humans, we have Pitri Rin to our ancestors. If not for our ancestors, we would not have our existence today. That debt is there. Then we have debt to celestial gods. Rain grain cycle. If rain grain cycle does not happen, it's everything on this earth is subsisted by rain, right? And if you don't have rains, you will not have a grain. And if you do not have grain, life is in vain. Why? Because everything is a manifestation of grain. What we eat, what we drink, even grass, cows feed on it, milk, everything is a derivative of grain only, or soil, right? If you think about it. So anything that we eat, that becomes part of our body. And then if that rain grain cycle is disturbed, the devatas, the celestial gods who govern that, we owe it to them as well. Okay, that is, and what do we owe? Performing our duty properly. When we don't pull in our weight, we are free riders, we are doing a disservice and accruing more negative karmic backlog. This rin also we cannot absolve ourselves from. Then what else is the Nri rin? Debt to human beings for their inventions, etc. Now we owe it to Graham Bell, we owe it to Edison, right? Because if not for electricity, we'll not be able to see each other. We owe it to Mr. Bill Gates because of unifying the technology around the world, and so many things can be employed on Windows, and now Mac has come in. So we owe it to so many people just to be able to operate effectively, right? We are able to see here, we are able to have these sessions, we can see videos, recordings, we can talk to each other, we can hear each other's voice. All that we owe. It's not happening. We cannot take it for granted. So there is a Nririn each one of us has as well. Then what else is there? We have Rishi Rin, guidance to humankind. If this knowledge was not compiled by Vedvyas, we will not be sitting here and talking about it. So this whole manual for human life is passed on to us by rishis. So there is a rin for them as well. And then, of course, the last one is debt to all living beings, the bhoot rin. This bhoot is not ghost, okay? Bhoot means the other living entities. Like if you don't have honeybees, the cross pollination will not happen, and so many crops will get killed. If you don't have these earthworms, the soil will not be fertile. Everything is serving nature. If you don't have trees, will not be able to get pure oxygen. And then the wind, every molecule that you are breathing in that is becoming part of your body could be coming from 7 oceans far away, right? Wind is carrying that for you. So everything is serving you. So that sense of gratitude needs to be there. And we are indebted to all of these entities for our existence. And we are indebted to them. Now, how do we absolve ourselves from this, Rina? What are we doing? Are we doing enough? Do we even know that? Now, people say, you know what, I'm going to earn my wealth, do my 8 to 9 to 5 job, earn, and then one day pass away. Now, from your own standpoint, you are leading a very simple life, right? You are being very honest, you are being good. But from the eyes of this creation, you are a thief. It's like going to somebody's house, not knowing the rules, simply consuming stuff, not even knowing the debts that you are implicated in, and just moving on with ignorance. That is why I said ignorance is not bliss when it comes to spiritual knowledge, right? You have to understand the divine principles and then start aligning to those as best as possible. Now, this becomes very complicated, right? So many variables, so many rend. What do I do in particular situation? And that is why I'm saying we have chosen a complicated path. The simplified path here is, what is the simplified path? So this is called ungrateful existence if we do not discharge these rinds. First of all, we are not even aware of it. Then what's the question of discharging it? How many of us know that? At least I didn't know that. So God has simplified it for us. So what he's telling us is, now someone who's ungrateful and doesn't recognize the 5 debts, that is called adharma. So you might be leading a life in adharma for most part of your life, or maybe the entire human life. Then you move to the next stage where becoming grateful and performing sacrifices to these. Now you're getting into ritualistic things, but you're doing it properly. It is better than adharma. Now you're getting into aparadharma, which is more at a bodily level. When you start discharging your duties at a bodily level, now you have transcended from adharma to aparadharma, which will give you meritorious deed, which will take you to Swarga at best. And beyond that is paradharma, which is elevating from bodily duties to the highest spiritual duties of love, devotion, and service towards God. If you simply do that, right, if you look at it, sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than mechanical ritualistic sacrifice, and it ends in knowledge of one's relationship with God. When you truly understand that, then you are absolved from all the dharmas. So if you look at the paradharma, if you start doing paradharma, you don't have to worry about other dharmas. You can actually ignore those, because now you're subscribing to the highest dharma as a human being or as an individual at that point. What does that mean? It's not so straightforward, right? What does that mean? It means first understanding, inquiring who you are, what is your relationship with God, and as part of that relationship, what is obligatory on you. And when you simplify that whole process, you simply do things in the spirit of devotion, which is essentially what Karm Yog is. Now I'm going to lead you to Karm Yog on that, why it is so important, and why Lord Krishna is saying that Karm Yog is superior to Karm Sanyas, because end of the day, Karm Yog is a stepping stone for us to do Paradharma, which I'm going to explain in detail, the simplified path on Karm Yog, and what does it mean to transcend beyond your bodily duties and not worry about all these rinas that you are subjected to, which we will discuss tomorrow in or the coming sessions, and then leading to the Karm Sanyas as well. And when you are subscribing to the highest dharma, it is like watering the root. You don't really go into, see, it's like when you go to nourish a tree, one way is to start watering every twig, flower, fruit, which is not very smart, which is what the bodily dharmas are. You do for this rain, for that rain, for this thing, you have to do that, which is like all over the place. Rather, you start serving the root itself, which is paradharma, which is what Karm Yoga is going to tell us. That is the science of work Lord Krishna has explained to Arjun. Do your duty, but with a proper consciousness, in the spirit of devotion to God. That is essentially what Karm Yoga is, which we'll discuss in more or greater detail starting tomorrow. Yes, now let's take a few hands because we have 10 more minutes before the next session starts and conclude this conversation.
So one question and one announcement.
Mhm.
So question is around the rinas. I was just observing, and just correct me if I'm wrong, but it looked like all the rinas are towards other jeev, other souls.
Mhm.
And I was just wondering, like there are these three elements, right? Brahma, Jeev, and Maya. So there are no rinas towards Maya. As far as this, at least I understood. But yeah, you can correct me.
No Rina towards Maya, you're saying?
Matter, like non-living matter.
Yeah, I mean, they are all for living. Maya, basically, there is no rin because I don't know what rin we can give to Maya other than thanking Maya for giving us Adi Bhautik, Adi Dhaivik, Adhyatmik, and all the problems that it serves our way, right? So the only way to absolve ourselves rin from Maya is having a prasad buddhi around any situation that comes our way. So that is also there, right? As part of surrender, you are discharging that rin as well, when simply have an acceptance around whatever is happening rather than getting into a mindset of whining and complaining. Because those are the slaps of Maya, right? Nobody is immune to. COVID comes, tornado will come, right? Something will happen. Maya has own it. It's like a university of hard knocks. It has its ways to trouble, torment you from time to time. Right, on if nothing, then the freezing temperature is happening and somebody's faucet has stopped working and then it will start leak it, right? So some kind of troubles will continue to happen in this material world. So if we simply have an acceptance around it, that is like discharging our rent to Maya. I don't know, I mean, technically or not, but with Maya it's just an acceptance. But yes, in this particular scenario, they are all living entities. They are
Jeev,
they
souls.
are char, achar, two kind of entities are there, right? So these are the living entities basically, not non-living in this case, because they have contributed to our success.
All right. Can I make one very special announcement?
Sure.
So yesterday we were talking about the 21-day challenge, the 21-day bhakti challenge, get closer to God, that has been launched today. And I actually attended the first segment of it, which all of us can through the Radha Krishna Bhakti app. I hope everybody has downloaded it by now. And it's just amazing. I can say that. It has like three very important segments: wisdom, meditation guided, actually four segments: wisdom lecture by Swamiji, guided meditation by Swamiji, kirtan, a very devotional segment, and final, last but not the least, a seva activity. Very short, quick one. That's all of us. So if we do it for 21 days, we will get closer to God and we will get more purified. We will be able to practice Karm Yog.
Wonderful.
Nivan is saying hi with a very interesting emoji on it.
He's having fun, right? He's in India right now. Yeah, so please do check out the app that has already launched today. So I'm going to start it tonight. It's a great opportunity to subscribe and take your understanding to a deeper level and then putting it to practice by immersing yourself into the devotional practices that we are talking about. So thank you for calling that out, Sandhya. Uh, I think this whole challenge is going to be so beautiful, so elegant, and just like wow. So please do subscribe to it if not already. Yes, Samji, you want to ask something? And please do fill out the feedback tracker. Please post it if not already. Any questions that you want to discuss, we can bring it to tomorrow's session. So two more sessions, probably, yeah, two more sessions. We'll conclude Thursday anyway. It's going to be quiz, but we'll start with Karm Yog now. We'll go deeper now that we have understood all the tilling we have done, why we need to work on our mind, and why paradharma is an easier path, difficult path. You understood the complexity around how many rinas and how many rituals, and it's very complicated. So if you are already convinced to that point, we'll talk about what you need to do on Karam Yoga and how it simplifies your life. Yes, Samji.
Radhe Radhe Samji.
Radhe, I think Sandhya already told yesterday that it will be starting on 17th, and now she's saying it already happened today.
So I think 17th, as I said yesterday, it might be US, but it was probably as per India. So in India, it's 17th started, right? So maybe that way.
Yeah.
I see. Thank you.
Next time when she says a date, you can assume it's India date. Okay, so please do check it out. I'm going to start it myself as well tomorrow, not today, and then I can talk about that as well. Any other questions? I think we have about 5 more minutes. Anything anybody wanted to ask or talk about, or any remarks? I know a lot of information overload, but we will get there. We will put it all together with Karm Yoga and Karm Sanyas. So I hope you're liking the booth. I don't know, it's starting and going somewhere. I really like that. So,
Pratusha ji.
yes, Pratusha.
Radhe Radhe. Actually, Sandhya's question about the Maya part just made me, think in that terms. So what I would like to say is even the five gods that we have in Indra and the Vayu Dev,
God.
Agni Dev. So they are also representative of five Mayas. So in that way we can, and even we do praise to these, they also represent things in our body. So when we pray to those tattvas, then we are actually trying to balance out that, like that. So in that aspect, I think like that we are doing it for in Maya. It can be the Daivic brain, a part of that, or it can be something that you do because you, even the food is coming from Mother Earth, so you are grateful for that water, like that. So
Yeah, it'll make for a good group discussion on one of the days. Okay, I will serve Maya to them or not, but yeah, good call out. Thank you, Pratusha. So, any other questions related to what we are talking about? Yes, Jyoti, you wanted to add something? We have 3 more minutes.
Question. So you mentioned about the rent, so which we suppose you have given example that these online things which has been provided by some people, so we have rent for them. So is it like unknowingly they are getting God grace without even realizing it?
Who's getting God's grace?
Who has provided all the materials in, for example, on who has invented things?
Scientist and tech. Yeah, that's what she's talking about.
It's a good one. Basically, I'm sure some kind of God will have a complex algorithm, his own Amway chain, how to give credit. It will be a very complex algorithm. But yeah, sure, because anything that is moving the humanity forward, it will come into Gunadit aspect if you have done it as a service to God. But if they have done it for the sake of humanity, it will go as a sattvic thing and they will get the meritorious deed out of it for sure. Does it continue to be a royalty for the rest of humanity to them? I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe God will have that algorithm, right? Because electricity is going to get consumed throughout humanity, I would imagine, right? So will Mr. Edison, whenever he comes back as a human, get some royalty for that? Maybe. I don't know. It's a good question. I'll ask God when I become God realized.
Nitin ji, there is a statement from Pratusha ji. Rishi Rin for Nitin sir.
There is no rent for me. I'm actually discharging rent for what I have understood from Swamiji, and then trying to do it the best. But the best way to absolve of this rent that we get from spiritual knowledge is by encouraging somebody else on this path and bringing them to this session, or giving them, handing over that knowledge to them in best possible, and not unsolicited. Not everybody is ready for it, but whoever is, if you can get them on this path, that is the only way to absolve. Because Rishi Rin or Guru Rin is something you cannot absolve even if you give your life, because it is priceless. This change in soul is priceless. The change that can come through spiritual technology is something which can take millions of life. Little bit of change, so it is priceless. You cannot get out of that rent from your guru. But the best you can do is, in that case, is encouraging somebody to kind of get on this path. And that is why, um, find out people, if somebody is interested, get them on this path. That's the best you can do, or give them some food for thought, whatever little you have understood around it, or become a role model for them by living some of those values so that they get inspired. Okay, so with that, we come to the end of today's session. Please fill out the feedback tracker. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We'll continue on this fascinating journey and peel some more layers on this topic. With that said, Radhe Radhe, good night, good day from my side. I'll hand it over to Sunil Bhai and Ajay. Thank you from my side.